We are now in our imaginary trip around the world, just about as far from Colebrook, New Hampshire as we can possibly get and not be a space tourist. We are in the southern hemisphere instead of the northern hemisphere. And if the kids don't know the difference, it's kind of the little things that add up. Like, for example, as we're entering fall, they're entering spring. When it's our summer, it's their winter. When you flush the toilet, the water goes backwards. Little things. You guys didn't know that? Yeah, head down to the southern hemisphere and watch water go down a drain. It goes the other way around. Anyway, animals down there are sometimes really strange. They may look initially somewhat like animals that we have here in Colebrook, but they're very, very different in many significant ways. So our last animal for the show is to Australia. Now I know, it just looks like a weird bunny rabbit with a long tail. What? Oh, don't say the bad word. Did you guys hear what he said?
No, it's not. He didn't know
what he said. For those of you who don't know how bad that word is, let me explain what it means. The K word. Actually is a word that is distilled from the answer to a question. Back about 250 years ago, when the first people from the northern hemisphere, those people that we will just refer to as the Europeans, British, went down to the southern hemisphere in their big sailing ships with the big sails, and they first landed in Australia, they saw many strange things. They met these people who'd been living in Australia as very healthy, mature societies of hunter-gatherer humans. We call them the Aborigines of Australia today. They were kind of like the Native Americans here, only down there. And they weren't all the same. There were many different groups, and they spoke many different languages. Well, the ones that the British met, they kind of started to get to know. Go over there. I don't want you to make her nervous. You can get pictures in a second, okay? What happened was they were basically trying to get to know this place and get to know these people, but they didn't speak the same language. You can imagine them going, dude, what are those strange-looking hopping bunny rabbit things? Well, you can't really see a British person saying dude, but anyway, you get the point. And they didn't understand the question, but eventually it's kind of like Pictionary. Finally you get a clue and you're like, oh yeah, those hopping things. And the response back basically sounded like kangaroo, which in their language means those are the animals we consume.
Are any other rides and things open?
The train's going right now. The train ride.
Yeah, kangaroo means that's what we eat. Yeah.
This is almost
so some of you may be inclined to call Kaya here a wallaby. Who wants to call her a wallaby? That's fine. Kangaroo, wallaby, it's like, mine's a shoe, yours a shoe. They just kind of look a little different. Do things slightly different. Okay? For those who didn't know, we've actually discovered 58 different species of kangaroos. And 13 of them have wallaby in their common name. See, wallaby comes from a different Aboriginal group's language, a different dialect. Guess what it means? Same thing, yeah. So it's all bad words for Kaya here. You want to hop down? Come on, kiddo. Let's go. There we go. Now, because we're outside, I'm just going to keep pretty close and a light touch on her tail. She's actually really, really used to doing programs and being close to people like this, but you never know. If a car drives by and backfires, or if this little potential predator comes running too close too fast, she could get scared. If she gets scared, and really seriously scared, she can easily hop straight up about as high as my head. That's not the bad part. The bad part is that when she hits the ground, she would use those very big feet. Scientists call all kangaroos macropods. Let me hear you say macropod, kids. Macropod. Good job. Macro means big. You probably know that from computer stuff. And pod refers to their toe or their foot. So basically, yeah, some of you are realizing right now that the last animal we have in our formal show is indeed a Colebrook sighting of the real Bigfoot. Take your pictures quick. But as soon as she hits the ground, she could use those feet, those very large, powerful legs, and those sharp toenails to dig into the ground, and she can hop 25 to 30 miles an hour. Lightning fast. But we're not going to let her hop real fast, at which point she would take her front feet, tuck them in, lean really far forward and use her tail for balance and changing direction. Same basic reason why a cheetah has such a long tail. Okay? But instead we're just going to let her pentapedal. Pentapedal is kind of like walking for us instead of running. Our running is her hopping. Our walking is her pentapedaling. That's when her front feet go down and then her back feet go. Front, back, front, back, front, back. Now, penta means what, kids? Penta, penta, penta. 5. Where's her 5th leg? The tail. It does refer to the tail, which she does not use to walk. Sometimes she'll use to whack, but if she feels cornered by a predator, she can certainly prop herself up on it and kick with those powerful legs. And believe me, even in a little species like this, that can be bad news. With a well-placed kick, she can actually break the strongest bone in my entire body. Which is, by the way, kids, which bone? Femur. The femur, that's right, your upper leg bone between your knee and your belly, okay? So that's Kaya, our little kangaroo for the day. The Bennett's wallaby, sometimes referred to because of the reddish fur on the back of her neck. It is sometimes referred to as the Red Neck Wallaby. She's one of 2 that we have at the Wild Center, and I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing her. Now, what we're going to do at this point is kind of like we do at our Canopy Bark shows and stuff like this.